Hi to Fife. I'm glad you get to be here today. Good planning, good self-care. How old is Eli now?
7 months.
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
very good. You're having a mommy time right now.
We're trying.
Mommy only. Yeah. There are many in this class who understand and have been through this phase of life with parenting, so you have a lot of support right now. I'm glad you could get here.
Thank you.
Yeah, good. Okay, everyone, let's get started. We're gonna do a short meditation time. We'll settle in for our practice. I'm glad to see you this morning. And thank you again to Susie for being here to help set up and support the Zoom room. Okay, so please take a comfortable seat. I'm going to change the angle of my camera just a little bit and slide back. You can rest your hands in your lap as you like, and you're welcome to close your eyes. And let your attention come back home to your body, to your breath, to your practice, to your community. In yoga, we call the daily practices called sadhana. It means that every day we have the practice. There are other rituals in yoga that are daily, like puja is a ceremony. Puja is an offering, and you make this puja every day. Every day at sunrise and sunset, we can have the arti, that is the acknowledgement of the changing of the light. Arti can include a number of things, such as chanting and gesture and lighting a candle, experiencing the ceremony. We also hope that every day we have some water and some nourishment, some rest and some movement. So our yoga is not like a dangling part of life on the outskirts. It's essential, a daily activity. So acknowledge the efforts you've already made to be here for your practice. And in this acknowledgement, I'm going to ask you to breathe, of course, inside, but to sense the breath like this, that when the inhale begins from within, it's gently blossoming outwards, and the exhale, a gentle return. So that with the inhale, you can sense there's already a yoga happening in your life, you're here. And with the exhale, settling in, that the practice will do you, as we say. Rather than you doing your practice is doing you. Inhale and sense yoga coming into your life. Exhale and sense your return to yoga. So it becomes your guiding compass, this yoga. And see if you can sense that process now in the pelvic region of your body, the pelvic basin. So the inhale can blossom there, as if the breath were touching the back of the sacrum, the interior of the ilium bones, and expanding the front belly. So not only letting the breath move into the front body, but also sensing the interior. And you can sense the exhale, that return process that happens with exhales, like you're coming back to take a seat in the home of the self. Svadhisthana means seated in one's home, the second chakra, seated in the pelvis. And now please bring your hands together at your heart in Anjali Mudra. So we'll chant together, and then we're going to have a pranayama practice that's deliberately to bring us back to that sense of home in the second chakra. And that will also deliberately encourage us to recognize the other homes, the third chakra and the fourth chakra, of course. So let's chant the Gayatri mantra together, please. Om Bhurva Svaha Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Svaha Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Svaha Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Bhurva Svaha Tat Savitor Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayata Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart and release your hands. Please open your eyes. And we're going to practice a bit of pranayama that requires you to use the abdomen for the expelling of the exhale. This. Now, I was just saying before in this opening meditation that we exhale to come back home. Now we're using exhale to expel that which gets in the way of us coming home. That which also causes us to leave home during the day and all throughout the moments where the mind, the ceiling fan of the mind, is pulling us astray rather than letting consciousness or grace or love come in. So this exhale, when we do it, we're going to imagine there's a candle out here and you're blowing it out through the mouth first, like that. And each time we have that strong exhale, this sort of wisp of inhale will happen. You're not also causing the inhale to happen. You're just focusing exhale, exhale, exhale like this. Okay, so please follow me. If you want to pretend there's a candle, you can hold it up like that. You don't need to. I was just making a demonstration. Let's begin. Now inhale from the bottom of the pelvis upwards through the chakras to your heart and hold the breath at the top. Now exhale slowly out the mouth, making a sound. And deeply relax the lower belly and see if the inhale blossoms in the pelvis. This time, as we repeat the practice, here's one clarification. You'll have to check for yourself, of course. I don't want you to have the sense that the pelvic floor is being pushed down, 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 down with each exhale, 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 but that your pelvic floor is toned and stable. You have to check by putting your mind down at the pelvic floor and asking, is it pushing down, down, down with each exhale, or can you keep it stable? So the exhale is an expelling of the breath, the toning of the diaphragm and the inner belly, but it's not pelvic floor down, down, down like that. Okay, let's try it. Exhale completely. Now inhale from the base of the pelvis upwards through the chakras up to your heart and hold the breath at the top. Now exhale with a sound, and notice during the exhale the tone can gently increase at the pelvic floor all the way to the end of the exhale, where you'll have the greatest tone at the pelvic floor. Then you're going to release that tone and the belly gently and let the next inhale blossom into your body. And you feel the breath coming back home to you. You welcoming the breath back home. Now we'll take this practice out through the nose, and the pace is going to be a little bit faster, something like, and I'll ask you to follow me because I'm going to keep my pace consistent. And again, that the pelvic floor is toned, so it's not exhale, 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 exhale like that. If you're having that experience, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not having that experience, no worries. You can discover it either later when we work more intimately in a one-to-one, or you can make an assumption that, oh, things are healthy, your pelvic floor is toned enough. Okay, let's begin with a sip of an inhale, and then please follow my pace. Exhale. Now inhale from the bottom of the pelvis upwards, widening concentrically to expand your heart. Hold the inhale at the top. Bring your chin down and in towards your throat. Lift the low belly in and up and brighten your chest. Using both nostrils, exhale slowly and completely. And during the exhale, notice that the pelvic floor becomes more toned and more toned, gently more toned towards the end of the exhalation. Release that tone gently and let the next inhale blossom into your body. So your breath is coming back home to you. You are welcoming it back home as if you've opened the castle doors and you said, please come in to the breath. And we'll do this one more time, and at the end of the exhale, there'll be 3 inhalations. The first, you exhale through both nostrils. The second, left nostril only. The third, right nostril only. I will explain it again as we go. Let's begin. Exhale. Inhale, bottom to top. Fill up the heart. Holding the breath. And both nostrils exhale. Inhale, pelvic floor, pelvic basin, mid-torso, upwards to the heart. To hold the breath, draw the low belly in and up, your chin down and in. Close your right nostril, exhale left side only. Inhale, bottom to top, and again we'll be holding the breath at the top. Close the left nostril, exhale right side. Release your right hand and your breath. And try to sense the homecoming. You're opening the castle doors. The drawbridge is down. You're welcoming life to come back to the chakras, to you, to your inner body. I'm going to ask us to come down to the floor for a practice, because I want to also teach this morning exhale suspension and have you be comfortable with that too. So, Susie, we can go to my floor camera. I'm going to get my microphone and my water glass. You'll need a block for this part of your practice. So when you come to lying down, I'm going to ask you to start with the block between your knees. So the block that you're using, thank you, Susie. Let me see if I can get this to go. Oh, I see. It's not there yet. Just a second. Okay, great. So the block is going to go between your knees. Lie on your back, please, with your knees bent. When you place the block, then take your arms out into a T shape. If you're wearing a hair clip, sometimes you have to remove that, otherwise you suffer pain, the specific pain of the hair clip. So let's take the knees up, so you're kind of in this 90-90 position. By that we mean 90 from hips to torso, and 90 from your thighs to your shins. And inhale while you're here in the center. When you exhale, take both knees and your hips over to your left. Then inhale, roll up to center, arriving at the high point of your inhale, at the high point of your movement. Then exhale, both knees to your right. You can go part way, you can go halfway, you can go all the way, but don't let the legs get lax on the floor if you touch. And inhale, roll up to center. So you do have to use your low belly muscles. Yes. Exhale, both knees down to your left. And inhale, roll both knees up to center. So we're going to continue this, which means at your own pace, I'd like you to go exhale down to right or left. Inhale to come up to center. And to sense your respect for the pauses in your breath cycle also. Now, of course, you might be having other sensations in the body, and the physical body is getting some of your attention, but try to put most of your attention on what's happening with the choreography of your breath. And the choreography, what I mean by that is that you arrive at the top of your inhale, you start your departure at the beginning of the exhale, and you're at your lowest point with some leadership with the body at the end of the exhale. And please continue. We'll do it 4 breath cycles more. If you're inclined to, it is okay to also rotate your nose opposite of your knees. So one more time, both knees down to your side. And you're going to follow the next inhale to come back up to center. When you come up, please take the block with your hands, touch your feet flat down to the floor, and place the block on the low setting under the back of your pelvis. So your hips here should be kind of neutral, like not a big back bend for the pelvis and not a big forward bend. And let's try this now. Let the actions of the belly release some because you were working on using your abdominal strength for that. Let that deeply relax now from one hip bone to the other. And let's see to what extent you can inhale and take the breath down to the pelvic floor, especially the back hemisphere of the pelvic floor. And then let the breath explore the interior of the pelvic basin, and let the inhale come up to your floating ribs, back and side and front, and perhaps up to the heart. Then watch your exhale beginning at the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor and moving inwardly towards the center of the abdomen and up behind your solar plexus. And then do that for one more breath cycle. Last one, just breathing in, breathing out, no particular inhale suspension or exhale suspension. And then I'm going to ask you to bring your attention to me, which could mean that you're just turning your head sideways or you're listening more keenly to what I'll describe. This is very hard to see, but I would like to describe it and have you kind of get a sense of it, and then we'll do it together. And I'll try to use my fingers to demonstrate what I'm experiencing. So the inhale will be as it was, and then during the exhale, I'll use my fingers to show exhale, exhale becoming a little bit more toned, and then you're going to see me not inhale. So here's my first breath. That goes up to the heart, and then you exhale from the base. This gets more and more toned. And without inhaling, I'm going to keep the exhale suspended out, but I'm also going to relax the muscles that were just causing the exhale. Then I'm going to inhale. So what happened there, and I know that this is not easy to see from where you guys are, but at the end of the exhale, I'm toning, toning, toning. Then without allowing the inhale, I relax the belly muscles. And there's this little hollowing that happens behind the abdomen, like a little bit concave. And the exhale is suspended and the mind gets quiet, potentially. So let's try that together. I'll talk you through each step of it. Let's begin with the inhale at the base of the pelvis and let the breath take its time, moving in to experience the home of your body that you're inviting the breath into. Include the top of the heart. And then exhale from the front of the pelvic floor and into the interior of the belly. And you exhale, exhale, exhale. It's toning the belly muscles. At the end of the exhale, hold the breath out, but relax the belly muscles that made the exhale. And then inhale. One more time. And exhale, exhale, exhale. Use the tone of the abdominal muscles, even if you gave birth 7 months ago. Talking to Fife. You hold the exhale out. You deeply relax those same belly muscles that held with the exhale. And then inhale, without gasping. Press into both heels. Lift your hips. Place the block once more between your knees. And please come with me as you take both knees down to your left. This time I do want your legs to come down to a place where they are supported. So if your legs don't meet the floor completely, you can take another second block and put it under your shins, for example, like I just did to show you there. Yeah, I do want this to feel like a supported twist. Place your left hand on your right knee. And let's see what we can do here. Where the inhale, you want to have a sense your body's able to invite the breath to come back home. I will ask you to completely exhale, and then you can explore if exhale suspension could feel like an internal massage to you here. So during your exhale, you get to the end of the exhale, using those belly muscles. You will then hold the exhale out and just momentarily deeply relax the belly, and then allow the next in-breath. That deep release of the low belly during exhale suspension should feel a little bit like a suction or like a hollowing. Okay, and then when you're ready to, please inhale, bring both knees up to center. If you're using a block to make the shins feel more supported, place that on the right side. And open your twist to your left. And so for lots of us, of course, just getting comfortable in the twist is the practice. So if this extra exploration is too difficult this morning for you, then of course you don't need to do it. Also, you should consider, I know many of you are here in teacher training, so you want to explore techniques and understand them. But if you are pregnant, if you have your menstrual cycle, I should have said sooner that this kind of exhale suspension is not recommended because of the suction that happens in the low belly. In which case you can just breathe smoothly through the twists and let it be a nourishing time for your body. And please do one more breath cycle. And then roll your knees up to center. You have 2 blocks here, so let's place them ready for the hands. Rest at the center here. And then please lift your hips and place both blocks. We call it supported bridge pose. Roll the chest and shoulders open. So what you'll notice in supported bridge pose is that the upper chest and Jaladhara Bandha kind of come along automatically. And the pelvis, we want that to feel neutral, so you have to make a little tip of your hip bones towards your ribs. And let's just try this for a few breath cycles. Can you have the breath go to the first third of the torso, the pelvis, while keeping enough tone that your hips are not jutting your hip bones, the top hip bones, up towards the ceiling. Then the next part of the breath comes to the mid-torso, and then up to the heart. And when you exhale, focus on exhaling first from the pelvic floor, the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor. Try to find even the skin across the low belly, and then up towards your solar plexus. And then inhale smoothly. You may practice one time. Let's just do one. Exhale suspension. So you're going to exhale to the end, and then you'll have that suspension, and then you'll inhale. And yes, it should feel like your pelvis muscles are working, the butt muscles are working, the low belly is gently toned so that your pelvis is not tipping into an anterior tilt. You have some leadership over this. Let's try this once through. Please inhale first, middle, and upper third. And then exhale slowly from the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor. Start toning across your low abdomen into the interior of the abdomen. Exhale completely. Having used those belly muscles, hold the exhale out and deeply relax the belly. And then inhale when you're ready to. And pick up your hips, take the 2 blocks, and please just thoughtfully come down, soles of the feet together, knees supported by your blocks. And let's see what's happening inside. Notice any way in which you feel welcomed to come back home. If you sense you're welcoming the breath to come back home to your body, you're welcoming life or the divine or love or companionship to come back in. Those are very strong practices. You guys are dedicated students. Let's please bring the knees up to center. If you are in teacher training, let me remind you that this is not what you teach to your beginning students. They didn't just pop in here. These other people you see in class this morning have been studying for some time. So this is not your beginner's class. Please come up to standing for Surya Namaskar. I have to see you better. These glasses, I don't know what is on these. Maybe flower pollen. I was in the garden. Okay, please come up to standing. I just want to set up my viewing so I can see you even better. Excuse me for a moment. I should have said, I didn't I could have put this on social media. Do not eat muffins before yoga class or something like that. Hey, don't eat the leftover pizza before class this morning. So for those who didn't get the notice, I hope you came with a relatively empty stomach. Let me say, just because I can see who's here, so for those of you who just gave birth 7 months ago, high five. This is kind of important pelvic floor work and abdominal work, and we don't expect it to be easy right now. And we're using the breath to make that internal pelvic floor stuff happen, but we do have to practice it to get more and more comfortable with it. And if you have some challenges there, please reach out to me directly, and I can set you up to speak to me or Chris or Lynn to have some one-to-one time to explore these things. Let's now see what the sun salutation feels like, having done that pranayama. Please join your hands together. Lengthen up through the crown of your skull. So I want you to stand in the center of your plumb line, your energy line. Let's use the Ujjayi breath, please. Here we go. Inhale. Lift your chin to help lift your breath up. And then exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Lift your inner arches, inner thighs, and the back of your spine. Exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Notice any possibility of the exhale bow being deeper inside in the low abdomen. Inhale, glide forward again. Back hemisphere of the pelvic floor first, then the sacrum, back waist, back of the heart, open your throat. Exhale for a deep bow. We begin at the front hemisphere of the pelvic floor, up along the interior of the sacrum. One more time, in breath to the back of the pelvic floor near the tailbone, and then glide forward. At the top, open your throat, and exhale your left foot straight back. Use the entire exhale, and then inhale, glide up to your crescent lunge. Yes, beautiful. Now let's stay, and we're just going to hover like you're levitating inside your pose, a quality of lightness or levity. You have a beautiful line, a beautiful arc in your spine, David. The whole thing is just very graceful and catches my eye. I feel inspired. And I'm also enjoying how upright your arms are, Andrew, and how energized they seem to be. For each of us, we have our own expression in the body. So notice how your breath is sustaining your practice right now. I'm also noticing how strong Sarah's legs are, your shin, your knee, your heel, the center of your pelvis. So one more in-breath, please. Beautiful, Christina, the very glorious expression. Let's exhale the arms wide, come slowly forward, touch your two blocks, and step backwards to downward dog pose. When you exhale, roll forward to plank pose. Put your gaze down between your yoga blocks or your thumbs. Inhale, glide backwards, downward facing dog pose. Raise your hips to go back. Yes, you are pressing into your arms, but also lift your hips. Exhale from your tailbone, roll forward to plank pose. Gaze between your thumbs or your blocks. Inhale, start from your tailbone, rise up to downward dog pose. And one more time, exhale, roll forward to plank. Notice the tone at the front hemisphere of your pelvic floor, the deep low belly, mid-belly, solar plexus. Inhale, glide backwards. Raise your tailbone high. Broaden the back of your body. And exhale, step your left foot forward between both hands or your blocks. Inhale, rise up. We're going to stay a bit here. Good, Linda Kay. So you have a little wobble, but your airplane got steady. Very nice. So when rising up and then sort of hovering in here, let the breath nourish your pose from within. You've already made a commitment to be in class, so make a commitment to nourish yourself from the inside. If you notice a place in your body that feels particularly stable, ask yourself, oh, how did I come to feel so stable there? If something feels particularly energized, you can ask, wow, what is helping me to feel so energized right now? If you notice a brightness anywhere in your pose, you can also ask, how is that coming through? I'm seeing your efforts on your yoga mats right now. Thank you. Let's follow the next exhale to sweep the arms wide. As you come forward, broaden the back of your waist by toning the front of your belly. Touch the blocks. Inhale, step your right foot up to meet your left, and glide your spine forward. And exhale for a deep bow towards your legs. Notice the bow at the end should have the most tone for the low belly. Inhale, rise up. Please keep your legs stable so you're rising up over the strength of your legs and your feet. Exhale your hands to your heart. We're going to continue. Inhale, Ujjayi breath, sweep the arms up. You're doing beautifully. I can see you. Exhale, Uttanasana. Move at your own breath pace. That's right, Richie. Inhale, glide forward through your heart and your spine. Open your throat at the top. Exhale, left toes back. Inhale to rise, crescent lunge. Now in crescent lunge, I'm going to ask you to hold steady with the strength that you've been developing over so many practices. Even if today is a day of some wobbles, some of you do have wobbles in your practice, that is okay. We can consider from time to time there's a little bobble. But consider the strength you've been developing over so many years. And this is the strength of your awareness, not just your physical practice. With your next inhale, try lifting your heart, your collarbones, and your eyes. Gaze up. And then exhale, sweep your arms wide, and we're going to repeat a part of yesterday's practice. Place your fingertips on your blocks here like this. And as you inhale, lower your left knee to the floor and bring your heart forward. When you exhale, now press down with both arms and scoop into a cat pose spine. That means your tailbone went down more strongly. Then inhale, rise up to Anjaneyasana. Yes. Good. Christina, take your right knee a little bit to your right. Tiny bit to your right. There you go. Yeah, beautiful. You may hook your thumbs if you like and bring your fingers towards each other so you're holding the hands like an arrow. And as you aim up, you may also arc slightly back. It's based on your own structure, your own practice. So lovely to see you. Let's use another in-breath, please, reaching upwards. And then exhale, sweep your arms wide. And as you touch the two blocks, inhale, glide your hips back by straightening your left leg. Then straighten your right leg. And exhale for a deep and inward bow over your right thigh. We're going to stay in this variation of Parsvottanasana for the next several breath cycles. So you press down into your right foot for stability. Energize your right thigh muscles. Keep drawing your hips backwards. Imagine the torso like a little bow over the right thigh. Your attention and energy can be inward and downward. Good. I enjoy seeing that you're using the blocks at the height that you need them to be for yourselves. I'm also watching your physical stillness And hoping for that to also be reflected in your concentration and in your mind. Of course, I can only make a guess about that, but I'm sensing your concentration. Okay, with your next inhale, start to roll your right knee forward to come back to your basic lunge. Rise up to your fingertips. And then exhale, float your left foot up to meet your right foot and come to Uttanasana. Now inhale, glide forward through your heart. Let's exhale, take the right toes straight back. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. This is a familiar pose for you, so again I'm going to encourage you to reflect on the strength you've already built in your practice. Even if today is a wobble day, you have the strength to come to class. That is the strength of planning, execution, arrival. So tap into whatever access you have to your strength. And let that also become the strength of your values for your heart, the clarity of your mind, even if there's some wobbles in your practice today. And hook your thumbs, put the other thumb as the thumb that goes behind, and raise up through your heart, your collarbones, and your eyes. And when you exhale, start opening your arms wide and time yourself. That's it, Kate. Yeah, so the timing of the breath, the timing, good, Christina. The timing, very nice. Good, Andrea. And then let's take Anjaneyasana. We're going to inhale, lower your right knee down, glide your heart forward. Now you're going to press into both hands and arms like cat pose. So my hope is you feel the tailbone, the deep low belly. And then we inhale to float up to Anjaneyasana. So really important in Anjaneyasana, I do not want you to have a sense that you're hammocking into your pelvic floor. You're not hammocking into the left hip. There is an inward rising upward. Yes, Sarah, that's just glorious. The line from your knee up to your fingertips is so inspiring right now. Yeah. As you're breathing and sustaining your efforts, I'm watching Carol's radiant face. Thank you for being here. Listen again to where you're tapping into your effort from. What is the source of your effort? And we exhale, sweep the arms wide, stretch out, and touch the 2 blocks with your fingers. On your inhale, straighten your right leg, glide your hips back. This is a variation on Parsvottanasana. And exhale to bow deeply over your left leg. Everyone's depth will be their own. We all have to respect the bony structure of the body, the musculoskeletal savvy that we have or that we're working on. So listen into the quality of your breath. It's one of your greatest teachers. Breathing in smoothly. Listen for any bit of strength you sense in your pose right now. And strength can mean stamina, commitment, the elegance of your effort. And keeping the strength that you are sustaining from within. When you next inhale, start bending your front knee to roll yourself forward to your basic lunge again. Come up to your fingertips. And then exhale, float forward with your right foot. And enjoy a deep bow into Uttanasana. Press down with both hands against your blocks. And then inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Lovely. Okay, exhale, hands to your heart. Anjali Mudra. What is the inner experience you're having right now? And then please release both hands. So we're going to take a journey to something that we did a few weeks ago. It does require at least one block because you can move your block side to side if you need to. But we're going to put the block to the right on the mat. This is a wide stand. So I'll show you with only one block and then we can move it over. Some of you only have one at home. You place your right foot up like this on the block itself. If your foot is longer than the block, please be thoughtful about how you do it. Or if you have two blocks, you can put them block to give your foot support. And then step back, please, with your left foot. This is like warrior two, the side warrior pose. So I'd like your left foot, so your heel and your right heel line up like that. Okay, place your hands on your hips. Great. Okay, so something to consider, if you can see me from where you are on your computer, then stay as you are. I see that most of you can see me from where you're looking. What we're going to do here, the legs are going to hold steady, the leg bones, but the pelvis is going to be rotating. Okay, and so let's call this neutral pelvis, because we're left to right pretty level. And then we're going to tip the pelvis to the right. We'll tip it back up. So that looks like this. When I tip, the pelvis has moved over the right thigh. And then when I come back up, the pelvis is moving up. It's not that you're making the legs go cattywampus. Okay, let's use the right forearm at the top of the right thigh to apply some effort there. So you go like this. Place your right arm, press your right hand down against your left thigh. But when you rotate your pelvis to your right, you can sense the right thigh gets heavier. Take a deep breath in, and then bring your pelvis upright. Where are you going to do that from? Even lift the right low belly, right here. Okay, take the right forearm, place it, and tip your pelvis over to your right. So I'm using my left hand on my right wrist to press down. So the right thigh is getting heavier. At the same time, you must keep a lift at the pelvic floor and the deep low belly. Good, and then use your pelvis to come upright. Lift your right low belly muscles right here. Good. Okay, one more time. Right forearm. Press down with your left hand against your right forearm. You can press your right forearm down with your elbow strength too, but don't poke yourself with your elbow. Keep the tone of the low belly, but even more, your pelvic floor. And to be specific, keep the tone of the right hemisphere of your pelvic floor. And then exhale, lift your right low belly to come up. Now we go heel toe in, and step your right foot to meet your left foot, and come to mountain pose and see, you might feel like a crooked mountain. You might feel like a vibrant mountain. You got that, Sandra? Yeah, I can see. Okay, other side. So you can move your block, or if you had two blocks, you can step up on the other side of your mat. So left foot up. Step your right leg back. Yeah, there is your warrior two, an approximation of warrior two. Yeah. Okay, so you can check with your fingers that your hips are relatively level. And just check that you've also got the left knee shining straight on in line with the third toe. And take your left forearm and press down. So the left thigh is being pressed upon. You might actually feel your left hamstring like, oh! And then you've got to tone the left hip muscles right near your left sitting bone. And hopefully that translates as a sense of tone on the left side of your pelvic floor. You breathe in Now exhale, bring yourself upright and lift the left low belly to come up. Beautiful, that's good, Karen. And then left forearm. Press down with your left forearm against the upper part of your femur right there. Keep the left outer heel strong, left inner arch lifted. I'm watching the concentration on your faces. Thank you. Check the muscles right at your left sitting bone. And then exhale, come upright. Lift the left side of your pelvic floor to come up. And last time, so left forearm at the upper part of your left thigh. I was watching Linda, Carol, and Sandra. You guys are in a row with me. We all went down. We came up, we went down together. Thank you. Not everybody has the same camera angle, so we see what we can see. And then exhale, pull up from the left low belly, rise up. And let's do heel toe with your right foot. And then step to mountain pose. And check again what is happening in the body. Do not let the ceiling fan of your mind take over. Listen in. Like Linda's mountain pose, you seem very still, very majestic, but also relaxed about it. Please take 2 blocks now. If you have to, make a little seat like a diamond, like this. If you have only one block, then you could substitute instead. Use 2 blankets, or you can fold a blanket to make this little. What we've done here is made a little shelf, and I'm going to ask you guys. I wish we could be in person because you could come up close to see my sitting bones. You would get a better sense of what I'm doing. But we are kind of squatting right here where you're resting at the back of your trochanters, the back of your thigh bones, on the inner edge of the blocks. Wrap your hands around your knees, please. And let your head bow towards your heart. And see to what extent you can allow gravity to help you with this. That the sitting bones, which are inside the blocks but not touching the floor, they get to descend because the muscles between your sitting bones and the back of your trochanters, they're getting a massage right now. So the tailbone is also not touching the blocks. And you can let the breath come into the pelvis and the lower belly, mid-belly. Also, it will go to the back of your body and the sides. Please bring your torso upright now. Place your hands on the front of your shins. And bring your torso up to just what you would think of as vertical. And imagine that you'd have to pick up your feet and knees for some reason. Like when I was a child, I was a teenager, not listening to my parents. I did not have a cell phone, so I wasn't looking at my cell phone, but they were like, my mother was trying to vacuum and I had to pick up my feet all the time so she could get the vacuum under. But let's pretend somebody's going to come by and vacuum under your feet. And you have to, in a moment, pick them up. Where's that going to come from? And can you even sense your body anticipates it? And some muscles do turn on, but they're very subtle, very intrinsic. Then I'm going to ask you to lift your heels and tippy toes so you're leaning slightly back. Place your fingers behind you and float your toes up. Yes, you are going to feel the sides of your sacrum right there. Now we're going to take the toes back to the floor, heels to the floor, reach forward. And roll back, start tippy-toeing, lift your heels. Slide your fingers back, or go without the fingers if you want to. Float the feet up. And then tiptoes, mounds of the toes, reach forward, let your heels come down. And start rolling back, lift your heels. Okay, as you lift the toes, you can put your fingers on the floor behind you or you can float them up. This is like a variation on boat pose. And then you take the toes, mounds of the toes, reach forward, glide forward. Yes. And then glide back. And lift your heels, float up. And now this time, touch the toes and make the feet into Baddha Konasana. Reach forward. Yeah, there's your outer hips. Good, Sandra. Good gliding. And glide it back. Roll the knees up, tippy toes. And then toes. Reach forward. And we're going to stay. So you can lightly touch your fingers to the floor. Relax the weight of your head. So when you've come forward like this and you're using the two blocks, it's quite likely that right now you have your blocks touching the back of your pelvis, at the back of the thigh bones. Right? Probably you don't feel the sacrum or the tailbone on the blocks. That's okay. Now, if you've got the soles of the feet together, like Baddha Konasana, and you're reaching forward, ask yourself, how could you pick up your hips off of these blocks? Or even lighten the weight of your pelvis against the blocks. So you ought to sense like, oh my goodness, she's inviting me to levitate, but you get to keep the outer edges of your feet on the floor. What happens at the pelvic floor or the deep low belly? And then imagine placing your hips back on those blocks. If they lifted, you can touch them gently down and rise up to sitting in Baddha Konasana. And see if you can sit really still. Notice the shape of your body, the shape of the pelvic floor. Listen for anywhere you can relax into yourself, coming back home. Now we're going to use these blocks and your hips and pelvis a little bit differently. So please roll up with your knees and feet. Press into your hands, scoop your hips forward, and place them on the floor. I'm going to turn to my profile view for you guys. Okay, so let's take one block like this for the heart, and one block like this for your head, or you can have one block for your heart and a couple of blankets for the head. Put the first edge of your shoulder blades on the block, so the block is right at the bottom corners of your shoulder blades. Watch out for hair clips. Place your head on the second block. Take the arms out in a T shape. We're going to keep the knees bent for right now. Let the arms relax to where they're most comfortable out to the side. You can bend the elbows. And bring your awareness down into the pelvic floor to ask, okay, what now can you notice about the breath being welcomed back home to your body welcoming the breath to come in. And listen for what it means for you to have a sense of homecoming. And to the best of your ability, float your arms up and reach over to hold the block that is behind your head. So what you're going to do here, that block, I would recommend you have the base of the skull at the edge of the block. And the block, you can reach back with your fingers to hold it. That also means pull your elbows in and slightly up. And see if this changes anything about the shape of the breath inside. Now for most of us, you probably have the block behind your head is flat on the floor. I'm going to ask you to pick it up slightly, put your fingers under the bottom of the block, tip the beveled edge of the block against your occiput, and then hug the elbows in towards each other. Towards your ears, you could say the upper arms come in towards your ears. So you've just made the back of the neck longer by putting the edge of the block right there under the occiput. So while the back of the neck is getting longer and your chin came down towards your throat, stretch your elbows up, past your ears, towards the wall behind you. Keep your fingers where they are. And see if you might get 1 or 2 breath cycles even to go from the low pelvis through your torso up to your heart. Then you can try it once to go all the way to the exhale end, and then try 1 exhale suspension. Means you squeeze the breath out and out and out. And then without allowing the inhale to come in, you deeply relax the belly muscles and lift your elbows towards the wall behind you, keeping your fingers where they are. And then you gently inhale and take the block that's been under your head and place it on the medium setting, so the next setting down. Reach your arms overhead, and then arms out to the side. place your palms down alongside your torso. Notice that makes your shoulders roll forward. Use your own shoulder strength now to take the shoulders back towards the floor. I'm not going to touch the floor, of course, because we're on the block. And then take whichever side you're going to roll to. Take that arm out to the side and roll downhill from your blocks. Bring your knees into your chest. And then rise up to sitting just enough to put your blocks aside. And please come down. And stretch out. Come into Shavasana. Just in case you weren't sure how potent that inner practice just was, please come to Shavasana. Sometimes it's hard to know, especially if you're new to certain parts of the practice, it can be hard to know, okay, what is going on in there? So I'm like your airplane pilot. I have a sense of where we're going. Thank you for resting so beautifully in Shavasana. I feel this beautiful quality of surrender when I'm seeing Carol let go. I enjoy seeing how you guys have set up your Shavasanas to be nourishing for yourselves. So this Shavasana is a very important one today because it precedes what we'll finish with in a pranayama practice that helps to elicit a quality of spacious mind. But when you're resting, this is a time not to think or plan, neither daydreaming nor reviewing. Encourage your body to rest and to rest, to deeply rest. Invite your heels and the backs of your hands to get heavier, heavier against the ground. For your legs and arms to get the message, they too can deeply release. So you visualize your hands and your heels getting heavier and more relaxed. You will elicit a response from within your body. Invite your heels and your hands to get heavier. For your arms and your legs to hear that message as an invitation to deeply relax. As you release your hands and your heels, your arms and legs, now allow any bits of tension in your face to melt away. The heels and hands, legs and arms, your eyes, your nose, your ears and your tongue, and be profoundly at ease. Invite now for your senses, your eyes, your nose, your ears, your tongue. And also invite your arms and legs, hands and feet in their relaxation. Invite them to reassure your pelvic floor it is also welcome to relax. Invite that ease to continue, and for your pelvic floor to send the message upwards to the second chakra, a message of reassurance. It is okay to come back home. To come home into yourself. It is not only the small self, it is the large self, capital S. Now keeping a sense of where this home is, and lightly wiggle your fingers and your toes. Since the legs are out straight, let's just gently take the right leg and rock it. in and out, in and out. And then left leg, rock it. You're really rocking from the toes, in, out, in, out, in, out. Yeah. Now both legs in and out together. Release that, and now from the toes, pointing, 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 makes the whole body rock head to toe, toe to head. And then release that, and bend your knees to roll to your side. Return to sitting, and you can choose to sit on a blanket. You can use the 2 blocks or the diamond shape to sit cross-legged. And when you find your seat, let it be comfortable and steady. Sukham Stiram Asanam. We're going to do 1 cycle of Nadi Shodhana. So we'll inhale left, exhale right. We'll inhale right and exhale left. When we do it, I'm going to ask you to suspend the inhale and the exhale. Try to make them equal. Inhale, exhale lengths are also equal when breathing in and breathing out. So please bring your right hand up. Close the right nostril and inhale left at your own pace. Suspend the inhale. Brighten your heart as you do so. Exhale, right nostril. At the end of the exhale, you're going to be holding the breath out. To do that, you use the belly muscles, and then, without inhaling, you deeply relax the belly. Then tone the belly. Inhale right. Holding the inhale, brighten your heart. Exhale, left nostril. Exhale to the end, then exhale suspension. Then tone the belly and allow the inhale. And then do not make the breath happen. You just allow your body to be breathed. See if you might be able to sit in a quality of stillness, steadiness, presence. Imagine here that the breath is not yours to breathe. The breath is breathing you. And it can be extremely subtle right now, profoundly simple. Bring your hands together at your heart. You can try singing with me and call and response. Om. Om. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Asatoma Sadgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. I'm just gazing at you for a short while here. You're doing the same, apparently. You're gazing at me, or at your community, whichever you can see. So there's an intricacy in the practice, and I think you did very well following. These pranayama practices, they're very powerful. So sometimes we don't realize how powerful until sometimes we have like an emotion later, some tenderness or effusiveness, where we feel like life is more beautiful. We almost might go in both directions in a sense. Also, life is so temporary. And it has a kind of fragility for us as humans, but it doesn't have that word in nature. Nature is just being nature. Blooming and composting, sprouting up and dying away. I can see your chats. The font is quite big on the TV, so thank you, Barb, for your note. I will come up to say hi a little closer. Also, if you do have some questions, it's fine to ask them, and you may not have your questions right now, so sometimes you have to write later with your question, especially when it's pranayama, because it can seem like you have to let it simmer a little bit, and then your question might come from further practice. I have to set so you can see me better. There we go. I'm seeing
I have
Go ahead.
a question about the pranayama